Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Coup Coach Cast with Jim Glogowski. I'm your host, Chad Birger. I'm joined today by co-host Sam Dooyema and Coach Jim Glogowski of the University of Sioux Falls Cougars. We're going to talk about the Cougars' big game this past Saturday, big win over Wayne State, and preview what's coming up this week. So to do that, we'll bring in our co-host Sam Dooyema to recap the game.
Thanks, Chad. Coup making the short trip down to Wayne, America on Saturday and coming out victorious with a 23-13 victory over the Wildcats, up in their conference record to 6-2, 7-2 overall, with 3 weeks to play and 2 games left in their regular season. USF jumping out to a quick lead early. It was 13-7 after the first quarter, tacked on another 10 points with a 23-7 lead heading into halftime. We're going to discuss this scoreless third quarter and kind of the slugfest here to end the game. Wayne State would tack on one more touchdown to end the game, with the final score being 23-13. So let's break down the scoring summary a little bit, and then we'll bring in Coach Glo to kind of break it down. USF got the scoring started with a Bubba Tan, 20-yard touchdown run, capping off a 10-play, 75-yard drive for the Coup. And then they would tack on another one with a Carter Slykouse 24-yard touchdown pass from Cam Dean. And with that quick start, was off to a 14-0 lead for 13-0 lead for the Coup after missing that first PAT. Wayne State would get a 75-yard screen pass from Latravius Boyd from Nick Bone. And with a quick hitter there, making it 13-7 there at the end of the first quarter. As we rolled into the second quarter, it would begin be Carter Slykouse pulling in a 7-yard pass from Cam Dean, capping off another long drive for the Coup, 10 plays, 81 yards. And then following a Wayne State turnover, Nick Hernandez kicking a career-long 47-yard field goal to push that lead to 23-7 heading into the half. We're going to bring in Coach. Coach, how you feeling heading into halftime here? You guys rolling into Wayne, have a 2-game losing streak to the Wildcats the last few years, top of the standings here, and you guys roll into Wayne and punch them in the mouth. How we feeling?
Yeah, I felt really good. I actually, it was almost to flip the script of the year prior when they came here, and they were up 21-3 at the half, and we felt like we had some opportunities we missed. I'm sure they felt the same way. But yeah, I felt pretty confident. Like my thing is, how fast can we get to halftime? Get the first half over with. Let's try to win the game. Like that's how I think about it. And so I always look at my watch when I'm walking off the field, and I think we were at halftime in about an hour and 15 minutes, which good pace of the game. But yeah, I felt like getting out early was really important. The win was a little bit of a concern, to be honest with you. It was a little bit of a factor, and we picked heads or tails and lost the toss, so they defer. Certainly wasn't going to give up the ball twice. So taking the ball, and then of course they took the wind, and to go down there and just get on the board quickly was really important. And I felt like offensively did some really good things. And 31, 32 plays, we had 200 and some yards. The next 32 plays, we had like 12. So the field position was crazy in the second half, and it started on the last drive of the first half when we got the ball on the 5, and just kind of. There was no, I guess I didn't want to push the envelope and do anything to shoot ourselves in the foot. Maybe got a little conservative, but when the wind was blowing and all that kind of stuff, and I think the one interception he had, the wind held the ball up, and Connor Aldrich had the interception. So, but yeah, at halftime, I'm feeling pretty good, feeling pretty confident. It's a interesting place to play because you kind of sit up on a plateau a little bit, and you kind of feel like you're on top of a platform and the wind's blowing through there. But yeah, all in all, it was a great day for football, and really excited about where we're at today.
Coach, I had talked to Nick Hernandez after that kick, and he's like, "Oh, I thought it was 48 yards. It was only 47." I was like, "Hey, that was a long kick either way."
Yeah, it's funny. Over the last year and a half, I think it was last year, maybe about this time, and I said to Nick, I was like, yeah, we just haven't had a lot of opportunities to kick, where it was in your range. He's like, well, actually, there was about 3 or 4 we probably should have. And I was like, oh, okay, I didn't know you were keeping track, Nick. And so there's been some times when we've kicked it and haven't kicked it, and honest to God, it hasn't really been about whether I think Nick can do it. I usually look over to him, I say, how do you feel? And based on how he responds to my question of how you feel, makes me feel like we can go for it or not. So what he technically says doesn't actually matter. It's his body language and how he responds. And He's a guy, if you're going to win games like that, you got to have your seniors make big plays. And, we've always got this kind of swinging gate that we kind of mess around with to start the game off and see if it's there. Thought it was there, didn't complete the ball, so it's only a 6-point lead, which is kind of a deflator after scoring the first touchdown. But that field goal really kind of made up for that, and then it makes it a 2-score game, or at least a 16-point game is 2 scores and 2-point conversions. So that kick was incredibly important as the game wore on. And again, I just felt like we needed points, and after that interception, that was a big-time make by him.
Well, let's go ahead and go back to the second half summary then, Sam.
Yeah, we really had a tale of two halves, and I think anybody who was able to tune into the game or listen to the game after we got over some of the Wayne hiccups there in the technical difficulties would agree with me. So scoreless third quarter, and we'll break that down a little bit, and just really that back and forth, that field possession game where the defense continually held strong. And I think, Coach, you were talking about a little before the game, USF starting field position, starting there at the end of that first half, into that beginning of the second half was 1 yard line, your own 1 yard line, your own 1 yard line, your own 1 yard line, the 4 yard line, and really made for an interesting game. You really talk about the importance of that 2-possession game. So we get into that fourth quarter. Defense really continues to hold strong. Wayne finally breaks through with a touchdown. Ashton Channemer with an 11-yard touchdown pass from Bone, but again, trying to go for 2 because they needed to with it being a 16-point game. Not able to do it, and that leaves your final score 23-13, and you get to have that short road trip back, like you joked about last week, home by supper time, and so got it done.
Yeah, we actually got the game done quick enough where the pizza was still warm when we got ready to get on the bus, and so it is an easy trip. And it's funny, a couple weeks back, we were supposed to go to Mankato the night before, stay in a hotel, and we made a change that week and ended up canceling the reservations and drove up the day of. And not that I'm any kind of a genius, but I kind of thought about, well, if we can go to Mankato and win this game without a traditional overnight stay, knowing that this was coming down the road at Wayne State, trying to create a mentality with our program of it doesn't matter what the situation is, where we eat breakfast. We've got another unique one with Augustana coming up where we're going to walk across town, literally or figuratively. But so just trying to create this mindset and the culture of it doesn't matter who we're playing, where we're playing, how we're going to get there, what we're going to eat. We could have prepackaged muffins, or we could have a steak and eggs for breakfast. It isn't going to matter, because when you get down to it over those 3 hours, you got to figure out how to play your best 60 minutes of football. And I thought our kids attacked that really well. Shout out to our food service that actually came up and had breakfast set up by 6:45 in the morning inside the bubble, so the kids could grab and go breakfast. Got on the bus by 7:30ish, and we were down there. No traffic. Obviously, the Yotes and Jacks were playing at night, so there was no game there. We went right through Vermilion, and it's an easy drive, beautiful scenery, and it was a great day. And when you can win that, get back on the bus and feel good about it, and really get back in time to enjoy the evening college football games, it's in some ways it's better than a home game, because there's a lot of other things, ancillary things that go on with the home game with recruits and post-game stuff and all that. So kind of nice to have the feel of a home game. I actually was home before a normal home game because you don't have any post-game stuff, So what a great day. And more importantly, now with the bye week coming up and the ability to kind of rest and relax a little bit as far as getting health as a priority for our guys, getting healthy down the stretch run. And we've talked about this all year long, just trying to play the next game the best we can.
Coach, Sam kind of mentioned the field position a little bit, but, you went into that. You obviously don't want to make a mistake. You're up by 2 scores. You give them a quick, cheap touchdown or something like that. All of a sudden, it's a 1-possession game. Maybe the play calling was a little bit conservative per se, but, do you want to add anything else to, what happened there?
Well, I would say, that's on me. It was very conservative. We were up by 16 points. You don't want to make a major mistake there. If anything, you punt the ball out. They got to get the ball on the 40, 50-yard line and then ultimately make them use clock. And until they got within, 9 points or 8 points or whatever, I still felt like they had to have the ball 3 times to beat us. And so as I'm looking at the game clock, trying to manage the game, we're asking the players to execute what we're calling. And I'm talking to the coaches of the headsets, and I'm not really involved with the X's and O's on the offense or defense as much as I am trying to focus on what do we have to do next. We talked about taking a safety at one point to get the ball kicked out of there. That came up for conversation later in the game. We talked about, booting versus drop back. We talked about, because then you don't want a holding call either. And when you're on literally the one time we took a penalty because we did want to take it like almost a delay hard count, similar to what you would do on 4th and 1 when you're trying to get somebody to jump. We were trying to get him to jump on 2nd and 10 on the 1, because the penalty is such a small penalty, not even a half yard. As a matter of fact, on the one delay game we took on purpose, they moved the ball about an inch. So there's nowhere to go. So the advantage is us, but of course you're backed up. We talked about quarterback sneak, using those a couple different times. We used that once, but it was really unique. Going back to the last drive of the first half, I mean, we started at the 5, the 1, the 1, the 1, the 5, the 9, and we're trying not to throw a ball into the flat or a hitch. And with the way the wind was, it was a little bit problematic throwing the deep ball a little bit because it hung up in the wind a little bit. So, just a really strange game. But I just feel like there's so many different ways to win football games. Obviously, outscore people, shut people out, and all that. But I felt like this game, as much as any of the games since I've been here, whatever we had 9, we're 20 games in our 20th game. That was probably the most challenging as far as the strategic part of it, as far as trying to get the game over with and run the clock out, and you're on the road and not turn the ball over. And, we did have a fumble. Unfortunately, we fumbled inside the 15-yard line. They got the ball back and we held them, of course. So you forget about that. But we did a lot of good things and did just enough to win, I guess. And at the end of the day, statistically speaking, it wasn't a great day offensively, but sometimes you win games because of how you manage the game and how you execute. And going 3 and out or 4 and out or whatever and punting it and not turning the ball over and giving them a real easy score, for the most part, we did a good job with that.
And then, Coach, when you're punting out of your own end zone multiple times there, you've got a freshman long snapper, freshman punter. Those guys showed a lot of just coolness. They were able to handle the situation really well. Didn't fail any snaps over Dixon's head. Scott didn't take any backward steps after catching it to step out of bounds.
Well, how about Scotty? I mean, in 9 games of his college career, he's dropped one at the end of a game, right? He's had to punt from the end zone. His first kick against the Division I, he had to go in against St. Thomas when Nick got hurt and kick an extra point. I mean, that guy in 9 games has literally seen a career's worth of situationals that most punters never see. So, you take it for granted. If you watch the NFL at all, the Bears and Commanders last night, Hail Mary, you got the guy over there talking to the fans while the ball's being snapped. So at any level, never assume that the easy things are easy, the snap, the catch, the kick, and all that stuff. And so really proud of those kids. And quite frankly, I don't even think of those guys as freshmen anymore because they've been playing. And I didn't say anything special to him. I just said, hey, one step it out. He goes, yep, I got you. And so he's really a confident kid. And Blaze snapped the ball really well. I mean, those guys have performed all season long. And, we've got 3 true freshmen that have played since day one. And they've all played major roles. Hank is the other one, Blaze and now Scotty. And just really proud of those kids, just like I'm proud of all the guys. I mean, you have to be able to execute in those kind of games because those are the differences sometimes versus really good competition.
Coach, we're going to jump into the coach's clicker here in a little bit, but I don't know if Tom mentioned this in the postgame show or not, but this, up to 7-2 this season, 3-8 last season, that means in 20 games you're 10-10. So 500. I don't know if did Tom mention that? Tom's usually the numbers guy.
I mean, we talk about everything from how many dandelions got knocked over when we stepped off the bus to how many points the Cougars have scored in 100 and some years. But we don't. No, he didn't mention it. And it's funny. I didn't even think about it because I didn't tell the administration when they hired me. I don't think I had a winning record when they hired me as a head coach from Simpson. So I think it was like 37-43. So I guess in the big picture, what's that? 47-53. I'm still 6 games, so we got to go on a heck of a run here these last few weeks to get it to even. That would be something we're talking about. If at the end of this football season we're even on my career record, then we'll definitely be having. I'll be talking about that. But no, he didn't mention it, and I'm just really pleased that we're making progress as a program. I know it sounds really maybe cliche-ish, but again, going through last year, and you guys were around, you understand the vibe. It was really frustrating. And so as much of that is for the kids, it's the program, it's the culture, it's the kids that played here before. I saw another crew of guys down in Alabama this weekend. Brooks came in, those guys. It's so cool. And they just talk about the bond. And that's what we're trying to create as an environment where you can bond and have friendships for life, I guess. And that sounds like a postcard or something, a Hallmark card, but it's true. And obviously winning helps that, and the culture helps that. But what comes first, the winning or the culture? Is the chicken or the egg? I think they both are really important. You win, and that's culture, and then winning creates. It was awesome. Like Jacob Toot, guy that played here. So when we break, we just kind of started doing this year. But when we're outside the stadium, and we're coming in to take the field before kickoff, he yells out, "Winners win," and everybody else, the players respond with, because that's what winners do. that wasn't something I knew until we brought an alum back. And so stuff like that has been kind of cool, and I noticed that as we go and probably the older I get and the longer I do this, I'm looking for ways to connect the two. As much as I'm sure there's Coup fans watching us every week, I was that guy on the couch Saturday night watching USD. I'm an alum. I played there. So I understand that connection and how much it is in a rivalry game. So you don't got to tell me how the key to the city, how much this game's going to matter to everybody, because I understand State U. I live that. And as I told the kids, man, you have the chance to run across the field and go get a trophy. I used to do that back in the day. And Chad, you probably know this, the battle for Sitting Bull, the wooden headdress for Chief Sitting Bull was what we played for at UND and USD back in the day. Not sure we still play for that. I don't think they do. At least it's not the same trophy. But no. So
that one's retired.
You watch the Vikings when the Gophers play for the Axe and stuff. I mean, that's what we got in college football, and that's what we're trying to create. And I'm just really happy that we're in a position at 7-2, whether we're 10-10 or whatever, for this to be a really big moment for our kids, because you love to say every game's the same. Yes, it is, but this isn't. This is different. This is the key to the city game. This is a history there. We're blocks away, and then there's something on the line. So I'm just glad that we're in a position to make it that way on our end.
Well, Coach, we're going to preview that game pretty much for the entire episode next week, because we have a bye coming up this week. So
sorry, I got ahead of myself.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Let it build, Coach. Let it build.
I'm getting pumped here. Yeah. So we've got a special preview game, Augustana Key to the City preview game show coming up next week. But for now, let's go ahead and dive back into the Wayne game. Let's jump to the coach's clicker here. We do have, first off, the very first touchdown of the game. This was the Bubba Tan touchdown, and the stream wasn't working. So, Coach, you were nice enough to send me some of the game film. But on this one, there was a little fly sweep action going here.
I mean, this is what we call a traditional, it's called a power read play, where your traditional power play is the backside guard pulls and the fullback kicks out, and you wrap around and all that stuff. But on this one, we're actually pulling a lineman. We got the fly motion to draw the attention of the front side linebacker. And then the quarterback is basically just kind of reading what the front side defensive end does. And so the defensive end kind of sits. If you see that right there about the 20-yard line to the right there, he just sits, and his cam's looking at that defensive end. Then he just decides whether to give it or to pull it. And so as you can see right here, he just pulls it or gives it, and because obviously if he pulls it, he would have gotten leveled, right? And then we just get the crease. And the motion is just enough to widen out the outside backer. And then Bubba's got a really good feel for this. And we've got some really talented running backs, and Bubba's at the top of that list in terms of the natural feel that he has as a runner out of Cherry Creek in Colorado. And we've seen him make big plays. And, it's funny, on the way home, I texted him because I love Bubba to death. He's going to be a real special player here. But Bubba got the highs and the lows in the same game, right? He had a huge touchdown run to get us excited, up for the Atomic Wings player of the game potentially. And then he had a tough fumble. And I just texted him. I said, man, you got it all today. And that's part of growing up, right? It's great. And we always want to score touchdowns, but sometimes we got to deal with the frustration when it doesn't go our way too. And that's why we do what we do. So, but you watch this right here, and it's just the motion times up really well, right? And as Bubba's going, you see the guard kicking out. And this is kind of crazy because the guard's kicking to the right. Maybe I think it's the guard or center. I can see it. And then you've got the action to the left. So this was something we put in this week where we were trying to maybe attack both sides, because both their defensive ends are pretty good. And if that number 97 on the left would have crashed down and chased the fly, Cam would have gone out the back door. Kind of similar to what he did in the last play when he got the first down to close the clock out. But look at that hole. I mean, he just hits this thing, and that's a pretty look right there when that dude hits his foot in the ground and gets vertical. And people are probably going to say, why didn't you do that more in the second half? Well, you do. You'd love to. But, again, the timing, the motion, the pull, there's a lot of things where you're not really worried about, but when that's a lot of time to hold the ball in the backfield if you're standing in the end zone. And so I guess I'm still old school. Just get the ball handed off, get upfield as fast as possible, get under center if you can. But here we're allowed an open field. Plus, you got them on their heel. They got to defend a lot more width in this type of situation versus most people aren't challenging the slant and the out route down the 1 yard line. Big time play, though.
Yep, great play. Got you off to a quick start right away. First drive, 20-yard touchdown, and up 6-0 to start off the game. So later on, you had another drive with Carter Slykehouse making a couple big plays. Big catch over the shoulder, kind of going down the USF sideline, and then
huge. And we aired it out there. Yep. We had the wind at our back a little bit. and that was a beautiful throw and catch because we almost had two guys kind of standing on top of each other in the same area. But Carter was able to focus on that ball, and he's been such a difference maker for us. And we're going to get here to another week or two with all conference voting. I certainly would hope that he's an all conference performer. He's certainly one of our most valuable players, and got the ability to separate. And then I think on this touchdown catch here, similar thing again. This is something we really like to do as far as bringing him back across the end zone, and it really boils down to whether or not they pick him up on the slant. And he finds the ability to kind of find himself open, and he's a security blanket, much like Linus, which obviously on the post-game broadcast, that was not picked up very well by our players. They haven't seen Peanuts. God forbid if we had the great Halloween caper and talked about that, these guys would be lost, right? It's a classic this time of year. But, anyways, it's a nice throw and catch. And in the window, I don't know if we have the end zone shot of this, but the window that he fits this ball in is pretty tight. And, again, right now it's just 13-7 with halfway through the second quarter. It's a big-time play on third down because you settle for a field goal here, and if you're Wayne, you feel pretty good about things, right? So this is a big-time throw and catch. I'm not a huge fan of spinning the ball, Carter. Let's act like we've done it before, right? A little old school. I think that's his 9th touchdown catch of the year. And, I wouldn't say we're a throwing team. I wouldn't say we're a running team. I wouldn't say we're a running back by committee team. I would just say that we are a team that tries to do a lot of things where we can move the ball around the field. And with Carter beating this guy on a slant, the guy looks back inside. As soon as that guy peeks back to look at the quarterback, he fires that ball in there, and it's a touchdown. And it's a good throw, good catch, and good protection. At this point, I thought we were going to score 40.
And a great job by his teammates of coming to celebrate with him.
I was about to say, that was great pro, and then those guys are all first one, fingers up. They're ready. They're ready to go. They're like partying Wayne America today. Let's do it.
I know, man. And we talked about that. And it's funny. You go back to that Minot game, and that's probably why, not the only reason why, but that's growth and development, right? And making sure that we are doing the little things right. And as dumb as it sounds, celebrating your teammate's success is a pretty big deal, even though it's a little thing.
All right. So here is play in the second quarter. Kind of right after that, you guys made Bowen really scramble around a lot on this play. And then Alex Maxim comes out of nowhere and picks it off, Coach.
Yeah. And again, these guys, him and Mo Diarra, they dink around before practice, these two big guys. They do one-on-ones, and everybody cheers like they're watching Monday Night Football. And I'm like, I went out to practice last week, like, Mo, knock it off. When are you guys going to roll your ankle? So they used to tell me they were practicing their hands. And I said, you're never going to intercept the ball, so quit doing that. Bite my words, right? But really good job. And really, Andy Henson has a lot to do with this because Andy Henson triggers on the second contain. And, man, you see 32 coming down on you, and the quarterback gets a little antsy. And if you wind it back just a little bit, I'm pretty sure he's trying to throw this ball across his body to about the W in Wayne State right there. And you see Garrett's about to break on this Hoffman. I think he picks it. If Maxim misses it, Garrett's right there. And so the one thing I'll give Coach Cap a lot of credit for in the D-line is we did a lot of this where we had a rusher drop off. So it's kind of a different way of spying. And you'll see a lot of that stuff with our 3 down front where we loop the DN back to the middle and bring the sprinting from the field. And it's he's a 6'4", 6'5" kid with long arms, and he's knocked down a lot of balls. I mean, he becomes a little bit of an issue when he's in the throwing lane. But they said Maxim caught it. I said, who? Like 3 times I asked on the sideline. And I saw him coming, and he's such a goofball. He's so awesome. Kid out of Wisconsin. I just call him the Belgian Waffle because he went to Belgium 2 summers ago to see his family. He's got family over there. And so, yeah, I got little nicknames for all these guys. But the Belgian Waffle came up big with those crepe hands.
Oh, Coach. And then he was a guest on the post.
You didn't get that? You didn't – the crepe hands, not the great hands, the crepe hands. See what I did there?
Good.
Bad joke.
Good, Coach. I missed that one. I'll give you that one.
Such a crepe set of hands. The Belgian one. Moving on. On to the next clip.
All right. So then here's the Hernandez field goal. I wanted to give Nick a shout out here. So put this one on there.
Look, I mean, he stroked this thing. But, Noah Robertson on the hold, right? And then Aiden DeVolder is actually our short snapper. And we've got this, we call this the waterfall on the right-hand side, and we stack those two guys if they're bringing pressure off the field. And, yeah, he strokes this thing. I think it would have been good from at least 50, 55 maybe. But he pounded this through.
Watch where it lands. I mean, it goes all the way back into the beer garden there. So
He was almost into that tuba back there. Like, he could have nailed that. Could have been worth 3 extra points.
But that wind's blowing a little bit from right to left. You've got to get – that's a good vid. You can see that soccer pitch. That soccer pitch is quite a bit below the football stadium. So you're up on a plateau there a little bit. And, yeah, it was a good kick.
All right. So obviously second half was very defensive here, Coach. So I picked a couple plays. This one is Andy Henson just seeing and diving through there and tripping the guy up from the backside.
Yeah, another shout out to Cap and the guys on defense. This is something we've been actually practicing for about 3 weeks. It's just a different kind of a pressure where, we're bringing Andy through the middle of the field, and Andy has to be able to redirect and change direction once he figures out where the ball's going. But this third down call where they're running a lot of what we call gap schemes, where they're going down with the offensive line and kicking out with the backside puller, that leaves you the potential. And we hadn't shown much pressure at all, to be honest with you, on first down, let alone third down, unless we were in our pass rush look where we have the 2 defensive linemen on the field and bring in the extra defensive back. And so this was where an opportunity where we got into our base defense and we brought a little bit of pressure. And I think that was really a good call by our defensive staff this week. And I think it caught him off guard a little bit because he's assuming he's going to be able to get to the edge. And then Andy, because he's athletic enough and fast enough, he can turn the corner and bend the horn a little bit and, make the play. Big time stop, though.
So, Sam, you were a former offensive lineman, as I was. Where did Wayne mess this play up blocking wise? Let's go ahead and break down the offensive mess up here. Okay, so watch the right guard, right tackle on this one.
Well, I think it was the not blocking of anybody.
Well, so
like a true offensive lineman.
Yeah. So if you're in a down kick out scheme, the right tackle and right guard both got to block down on that one. The right guard should have been going to Henson on that, or not taking over the nose and having the center go off.
Oh, that's a good coaching term there, Birger. Take it over. I like that.
Yeah. So there's.
Well, the key is, though, here is like on this one here that our defensive end and our defensive tackle are actually stepping outside. And so they're basically just kind of exchanging. Andy's going through the middle and they're stepping outside. You can see them both step out there.
Yeah.
And then I think just that subtle movement caused enough confusion. And like I said, we've been cooking that thing up. We probably ran it twice. We've been working on it for 3 weeks in practice. So it was good to see it kind of pay off. We did it again on the 4th down play, and he barely got the first down late in the game. So ran it twice, and it was good 1 out of 2 times.
Great play defensively, Coach. Very impressed with Andy and his speed and how he reads those getting through there. So excellent job.
He's such a great kid. The cat's probably out of the bag, but he got the player of the game, and the kids just go crazy because he's so humble. He gets embarrassed. He doesn't want the attention, and he couldn't ask for a better kid that feels that way. And another look at it here, and a lot of credit goes to Brennan Holt on this, number 5. We call this splatter technique. So we want him to go splatter this guy. And so you're not really hitting it outside. You're not really hitting inside. It's like a bug on a windshield. Just go splatter that guy and try to make this a difficult block and just take up space. And then because if number 5 goes outside, the running back clearly is going to duck in. If number 5 comes inside, the running back's going to bounce out. So you make it a really easy read for the running back if you pick a side. And so this splatter technique is something we've used. And now the problem is you got to get the corner, your little guys, your little bugs, literally, to come up and fit. And Malo Wells, the one thing about that little guy, man, he ain't afraid to put his nose in there. Sometimes to his dismay, he gets run over. But the one thing I would really give a shout out to our corners, Maloa, Connor, Kane, Joseph Sapp, those guys. The last couple of weeks, we've really challenged those guys to be physical because last year our corner was basically playing that spot where number 5 is. So you're asking that corner to take on some bigger bodies. So we kind of changed things in the offseason and put the corner back here now at the 32-yard line and ask the linebacker to take on the immediate block. Well, the problem is if they run that way, the corner still has to be involved in the fit. He's just doing it from a little bit more depth and a little bit more momentum, hopefully, and can see it better. So then it's more like just kind of putting it's like when you get a bloody nose and you put that cotton plug in your nose to stop the blood. That's basically all we're asking the corner to do. Just plug it up. You don't have to kill anybody. Just plug it up. You don't get your hands on anybody. Just put yourself in there and stop the bleeding. And he does it. That was a heck of an analogy, by the way. I was thinking about that because we had a kid get a bloody nose on Saturday, and they just jammed that. So that little skinny white roll of cotton, that's basically what Malo is doing. He's just jamming himself up in there and stopping the bleeding.
And Isaiah Ward does a good job, too, here of reading that reach block and not getting beat to the outside.
Those guys up front, they're probably the unsung heroes. There's a lot of really good things they did that probably don't get noticed unless you watch the film. But right here, taking on 2 blocks, he splits the blocks, and then he gets back vertical and actually makes the tackle. And that's when Maloa now – if all he has to do is run up there and put a shoulder on somebody, then that's a lot easier to ask a corner to do that than get your hands on a tight end and be physical. And the pursuit's coming. That's the other piece, right? We talked about it. Our biggest concern this week was to prevent the big play. And number 3 had a field day with us last year, running a bunch of deep balls into the post where we had nobody home. Well, the challenge is if you're going to play somebody in the deep middle of the field, you're going to be a little bit less on the run defense, right? So then you got to make up for it with pursuit and effort. Dawson Rabe, I mean, Preston Yankee, Francis Kumi played really well. We're really fortunate this year. We've got a good group of 4 rotational guys that can play a lot. We play 9 defensive linemen, sometimes 10 in a game. Caleb Brasher's come back over to help on D tackle. Brady Crawford, just probably missing somebody, but those kids do such a good job of being selfless and just being good teammates.
I was about to say that there's a lot of names on the broadcast, coach, in a good way. Like,
yeah,
it was constant. Tom was constantly like, this guy. They played a heck of a game.
Yeah, this is so money. This is such a big play.
All right, so this is 4th down, third quarter, 8:19 left. USF's up by 2 scores here, 23-7, and Wayne has the ball at what is it, the 2-yard line right now?
Well, they had a 3rd down and 9 on the 12,
yep.
And we stopped them, and they called us for a questionable late hit call, which I don't think it was. But moving forward, they get the ball 1st and goal on the 6, and we got to stop them. So now you get down to 4th and goal at the 1. So this is actually their 2nd set of downs to try to score inside the 10. And the biggest thing here is it's going to look like Andy, but man, Dawson Rabe does an absolutely phenomenal job of getting off the block, and then he gets squared up, and then the pursuit overwhelms him. And you can look at right now. If you rewind it just a little bit, you'll see, I think it's Garrett Hoffman on about the bottom of the L and Wildcats right there. He's already got his hand up. He knows it's a stop coming right down the line. And that's awesome because it was just that. And if you watch the broadcast, if you watch the whole broadcast, you can see the whole Wayne sideline go up like this, and then they know he didn't score. But the option play, right? And we talk about all the time, we can't determine what play they're going to run. But we thought Ford would have the ball in his hands down here. And the play prior, they ran quarterback power, and he got stopped. And again, here he keeps it again. He ain't going to pitch that, not in this situation. So now Andy's got to get there, and the D line's got to get flat. And again, I wish I had the end zone on this because Dawson Rabe is an absolute man child in there, and he gets flat down the line, and then Andy cleans it up. But there's a lot of guys that make this happen, And just look at the guys, they're just so. To your point about offensive scoring, notice how they're not running off the field. They're waiting to, there's just a lot of fins up. I mean, it's just gives me goosebumps. I mean, that's fun stuff right there.
Yeah, Ray was getting the fins up quite a bit the other day. He was cheerleading over there a little bit.
Yeah, Ray didn't like that. I kind of put the spotlight on him last week about getting taken out to the outhouse, the porta potty over there on that one last punt by Duluth. He's like, you're telling everybody on the KooCast, this thing's getting I don't know if it's worldwide, but it's definitely like Lincoln County wide, It's got to be Minnehaha County wide. I don't know if we're worldwide, but we're definitely county wide. And Ray's got some folks over there in Lenox, probably shout out to the Orioles over there. He's like, Coach Cole, you told him I got hit into the porta potty. I was like, Ray, you're so little. You didn't even see. You got overwhelmed. The ball boy was hiding. Ray was hiding behind the ball boy over there. I don't know what's going on.
He answered the call.
Yeah. Yeah, shout out to Coach Sean Flanagan, former USF guy.
Right. That was a heck of a year.
Yeah. All right. So now we got fourth quarter. I think it's the 2nd play of the quarter. 3rd and 9 here for Wayne. You notice they've got the ball around midfield or in every time in the second half here. USF doesn't. So I think I texted you yesterday. I said, hey, we're going to have a lot of defensive highlights on this one to break down. But talk us through this play right here, Coach. You got kind of slot receivers down, one receiver up top, and
yeah. So this is kind of that package we talk about on 3rd down. We bring in another defensive back, and we stand up the defensive ends. And all the defensive tackles are off the field in this package. It's our 3rd down package. And you talk about so many great stories from the game that people don't know about that I would share. But we talked about Bubba, right, scoring the touchdown, then he had the fumble. Kane McWilliams, whose cousin is actually number 3 for Wayne. And last year, number 3 got the best of Kane. And I'm sure that was a miserable Thanksgiving dinner with his cousin talking smack. And we were so happy because Kane got a pick and all that. And he played really well and got kind of, he's going to get his in. Hopefully we're not around during Thanksgiving. Hopefully we're still practicing, but he's going to be able to at least talk a little smack sometime over the holidays. And he responded. And Brennan Holt, he had the touchdown that happened at the beginning of the game. The guy ran by him. He didn't see it. And it was, he made a mistake. And then to come back later in the game and make this huge sack. But really, he's got a big body on him, and Brennan's on top. Brennan's about 205 pounds. But as he dips and runs the corner here, watch him dip and get up underneath the guy's pads and just use his speed and then violently to get him on the ground. That's a huge play. And, you know, in this situation, this is the little bit of field position we did gain back. Unfortunately, the dude hits a bomb and it rolls down to the 1 again, go figure. Like they had a magnet out there or something. But the reality of it is there were so many situations where you had guys get a little bit of, not to turn this into an after school special, but a little bit of redemption, you know, in this game. And that's the fun part, to see these kids work so hard to stay with it, because you can't get redemption if you don't stick with it. If you don't keep pounding and getting after it and working hard, you're never going to get that. And to see a couple of these guys in the game bounce back and make plays, not drop their heads, not get bummed out, we didn't pull them out of the game. We didn't bench them. We just said, hey, listen, you're going to have to make a play, so shake it off, right? And, boy, he does a nice job here. And, again, the other guys, too, we want to keep them in the pocket. And Andy does a good job to the field. He kind of shuts down his rush so he doesn't run past the quarterback, and that keeps the kid in the pocket. And then Maxim's happy for him. The guys are all happy for him. And, yeah, it's awesome. It's good stuff.
It's kind of Dennis Gardeck-like on that sack. That was a good dip and rip there.
Yeah, before that punt, I was thinking, Coach, I was like, all right, here's the field position. It's finally going to flip a little bit, this big sack. And I was like, all right, this is the breaker here. And, yeah, heck of a punt. But
yeah, I mean, it's – yeah, I couldn't believe it. But we got to go again, right? Because I think now we got to go back again. This is after maybe the fumble maybe, and they get another short field. So they pin us at the 1.
Yep, I think I've actually got 2 plays in a row here. I just left it running because right now this is first down, 1st and 10. There's still it's halfway through the 4th quarter. Wayne's got the ball about the 11-yard line right here going in, right? And they had a 1st and 10. And the first play, Andy Henson, you got Garrett Hoffman filling that hole too. I mean, 2 tremendous tacklers right there on that play, making the play. And then I'll fast forward just a little bit here to the next play. Wayne lines up after, getting a minimal yardage on 1st down. And then on 2nd down, watch this play by number 9-5 in the middle. This is a good play, Dawson Raby. Watch this one.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to run into that, Coach.
No, and, again, so Dawson's a Pierce, Nebraska native, which is right near Wayne. And his high school coach, I actually recruited, and he played for me at South Dakota. So I've known him forever. And the head coach, Mark Bramer, is a heck of a head coach, a phenomenal head coach down in Pierce. And his son actually plays tight end for Iowa State. But they were at the game and his family. And so, again, to see a kid go home and have some success. But Dawson's been a dominant player for us. And, he's 305 pounds. He's really strong. Recruited the heck out of him at Mankato. He actually had an ACL wrestling in high school, never wrestled before. Went out for wrestling, got to the state tournament and tore his ACL and had to come all the way back, and kind of shied away from him at Mankato when he had the injury. And then when I got the job here, I'm like, I need that dude on the inside. And he played for us as a true freshman, and now he's a true sophomore, and is just powerful. And most guys, can't do what he's doing, where he presses this guy back and then gets off the block and makes the tackle. And the pursuit's pretty good too, so I think we would have been in good shape even if Dawson doesn't make the play. But you look at Isaiah, Isaiah's up here on top. He's pushing out. Dawson's pushing out. These guys are getting their hands in the right spot so that they can fight pressure with pressure. And we want that offensive line to get wide, so it makes it confusing on where the hole is. So the quarterback has to slow down.
Yeah, so Wayne's got kind of the down, kick-out type scheme on the right side here.
Yep.
Waschenberger, the center's pulling on this one. But Dawson, just fights through that block of the guard, crosses his face, and then just knocks that quarterback down.
Never let him cross your face. Never let him cross your face.
Yeah, they do a really good job. This is kind of the play that we had that Bubba scored on. Actually, it's very similar, where you have almost 2 different plays going 2 different directions, and you're trying to create that void in the middle. And if you go back and just watch that one again, Andy's sitting right in the middle, just chilling. And the job of the defensive lineman is to press that wide, so it has to cut back right to Andy, and Andy almost overruns it. And then I think it's Cade Morris comes in, fills inside out. So, yeah, kids played hard. They had a good idea of what they were supposed to do. And so Connor Rice there too, another kid that's been playing for us up front, doing a nice job. So good to see.
All right, let's pull.
At this point, it was almost a comedy of errors. Like, are you serious? We got to stop him again. It's just, it was what it was.
So Wayne was able to score one touchdown with a little over 2 minutes left in the game. And then here's the onside kick. You obviously knew they were going to onside kick at this point. They were down by still down by 2 scores because the 2-point conversion was no good. But obviously you guys have been spending a little time coaching this up since earlier in the season. And it hits that big first hop, and then look at that old guy get up right there. And then probably should have got a 15-yard penalty on top of it, too.
I know. I thought so, too. But this is a great kick. It's one of the better ones I've seen. And the funny part is right before the kick, we flipped Carter with the return on the other side because we wanted to see where – because sometimes they don't always clearly define where they're going to kick it to. So these – sometimes there's 2 kickers, so you don't know which way the ball is going to go. But based on his alignment, we were pretty confident it was going to be an onside kick, not like a little popover. And so we put Carter on the other side. And, again, he's just a guy. Not that other guys can't do it, but that's a dude that I would trust, the game with. I mean, the dude is just – he understands. He's savvy. I didn't coach that. He was been like that since he was in high school. When you have guys like that, our job is to put him in a position where if there is a decision to be made, he's the one making it. So we kind of tripped into this where Carter flopped over and became that guy. But, man, what a great decision he makes. And he almost housed this. He was trying to score, he said. I just kind of stumbled coming down. But, yeah, you just feel so confident that he's going to make the play. And, like I said, I didn't recruit that guy. I'm just fortunate that he stayed around for another year because we're not where we are without Carter Slakehouse.
Yeah, that was a great heads-up play by Carter. And, we've seen some guys house those over the years, but he had his chance, slipped a little bit, but still a great play, heads-up play by Slakehouse. The last play I've got on here, Coach, you mentioned this one earlier, but this one, Wayne had, I think, 1 or 2 timeouts left. I think they had 1 timeout left and then the 2-minute warning. And so you guys really needed to get a first down here. So this was 3rd down, and there's still 1:59 left on the clock when the ball snapped. And Cam Dean just doing Cam Dean things here and gets to the outside, and then heads-up play slides, right? Could have tried to get more yardage, maybe risk fumbling the ball or something else.
Well, he might have, but then I was on the 25-yard line. I might have tackled him because I was like, I'm right there. I'm screaming, get down, and I just was – then I thought about it. I'm like, did he get the first down? But I'm screaming. I'm like, get down. And we talk about stuff like this. But great job by Dalton Wood, 81. And we haven't talked much about Dalton, but Dalton comes across. Look at the body position by Dalton. He's right in position to seal that guy. And the whole idea was to get Cam out on space and run to the first down and, get down. It's over. And, again, those are selfless plays because he could have probably scored a touchdown, stats and all that. We kind of have more yards, whatever. I mean, but that was our first down. Going back to the end of the first half.
First play on that side of the field since the second quarter.
It's crazy. So, again, who cares about stats? Let's win the game. The protocol, it's like interceptions. End the game on interception. Go down. Right? I mean, just understanding those situations is part of the process too,
Well, since you bring up stats, Coach, we're going to have Sam kind of talk through the stats from the game. So to do that, I'll put them up on the screen here. Sam, go ahead and lead us through this.
Yeah, absolutely. And the only stat that really matters this past week is definitely that W. But if we take a look at this, 211 total yards of offense for the Coup, most of that in the first half, 271 for Wayne, 113 through the air, 209 for Wayne, most of that coming on that long screen pass there in the first quarter, that first half for the Wildcats. Rushing yards, 98 for the Coup, 62 for Wayne State. Again, Coach, another really clean game. Great to see. 4 penalties accepted for the Cougars and just for 16 total yards. Like you said, one of that might be that 1 inch that you talked about that you're willing to give up. But 7 for Wayne State. And those things caught up. 12 first downs to 15 first downs. And I think really the big key stats, it was really the defense all day. You guys went 4 for 15 on 3rd down. Sure, not the best. You wouldn't want to see it. But look at Wayne State. 1 for 10. And on 4th down, 1 for 5. And your defense really stepped up. Time of possession, 33 minutes to about 26, 27 minutes there. And yeah, we look at some of these individual statistics. Cam Dean going 6 for 14, 113 yards, 2 touchdowns, rushing 20 carries for 19 yards. Dylan Rundigan, 14 carries for 43 yards. Bubba Tan getting that touchdown, 6 carries for 40 yards. And Carter Slakehouse, 3 receptions for 82 yards, 2 touchdowns. Probably not the shining moment on offense, but these are the guys who really shined in helping out that offense. Connor Aldrich leading the way. 8 tackles. Andy Henson with 7. Brendan Holt, 6 tackles. Matt Gehring, heck of a game again. We've said his name all week, or all these last few weeks. Cade Morris, Maloa Well, all leading the way with 5. Isaiah Ward, talked about him in the cast here too. 4. Garrett Hoffman for 4 tackles. Preston Yonke and Alex Maxim, 3 more tackles, and some of these individual ones here on the next slide Chad's going to show. Look at some of these breakdowns here. Isaiah Ward leading the way with tackles for loss, with as long as Matt Gehring, Andy Henson, Brendan Holt, Cade Morris, Preston Yonke, all getting in the backfield there for the Wildcats. And that big sack we talked about, and ended up being the only sack, but it was a huge one at the time. Props to Brendan Holt for that one. That pass breakup there by Cade Morris, and then again 3 more picks. You guys are really starting to pick off the ball here. Really ball hawk. It's great to see. Connor Aldrich, Alex Maxim getting here on the interceptions. Love to see that from the big guy, and Kane McWilliams having one as well.
Coach, that's 7 interceptions in the past 2 games. Obviously doing some things right in the defensive backfield. Any comments on that?
No, done this for a long time, and you'd love to say there's a remedy for getting more or not throwing more. And sometimes it's right place, right time. You got to catch the ball. Like we always say, if you catch the ones they throw to you, you're probably going to have quite a few, and we don't always catch them. Probably should have a few more. We've dropped them. But yeah, I think just the change up in coverage and confusing the quarterback, a lot of credit to Cap. I think they've done a nice job of switching up some coverage stuff and getting quarterbacks to throw the ball where we don't want to throw it. And we're not a huge pressure team. We're more of a, change up the rush, bring some twists, but it's worked out pretty well. And, we definitely are going to have our hands full these next couple of weeks. We've got to continue that.
Coach, former USD defensive back you are, and you talked about those celebrations, and we got a bye week here. So with all these picks, are we going to see some of these in the coming weeks? Are you going to teach the guys some of the old celebrations we heard about?
There's
we got to wait. So
the 3 trademarks, the chainsaw, the totem pole, and the samurai. Those are for post-game bus rides and locker rooms only.
Okay.
We don't want those getting out. There's probably no VHS or beta tapes left over of me doing that in the Dakota Dome floor. And if they are, they're quite grainy, so you can't tell which is which anyways. They probably all run together on that grainy old VHS tape. But I want our kids to celebrate. And I'll tell you what, it's a different time, man. Carter scores a touchdown, spins the ball. They don't even say anything. Other than throwing the ball in the stands or mooning the camera like old Randy Moss, you can pretty much do whatever you want. And so I don't care if the kids celebrate and have fun. I just don't want them to do it at the cost of our opponent. I want them to celebrate with each other. I don't want to see the orchestrated. I don't need 5 guys getting on the ground and like they're running, some kind of like bobsled thing, whatever. I don't want to see all that kind of stuff. But I want them to have fun, and winning's fun. Let's focus on that and see if we can get another 2 wins this year.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and talk about Atomic Wings. Attention, USF Cougar fans. There's a new favorite spot for wings in Sioux Falls. Atomic Wings is now open at 1502 East 69th Street in Sioux Falls, just north of the USF Stadium. Atomic Wings offers customers fresh, never frozen, natural, and hormone-free chicken wings, hand-tossed in 14 proprietary sauces. A classic menu, a welcome dining experience, and a commitment to quality. You can come watch sports and enjoy wings and a cold one at the self-serve beer station. The menu includes traditional wings, boneless wings, chicken tenders, sandwiches, flatbreads, and salads. Also choose waffle fries, onion rings, mac and cheese, jalapeno poppers, mozzarella sticks, tater tots, or sweet potato fries as a side. And don't forget the dessert. Deep fried Oreos are an option you can't get everywhere. There's something for everyone in the family at Atomic Wings. You can order online at atomicwings.com or come in. Located at 69th Street, just north of the USF football stadium. Perfect for pregame tailgates or postgame celebrations with friends and family. All right, guys. Well, I haven't gone to Atomic Wings this last week. I've still got my boxes from the week before sitting here, but I'm excited. I think this summer when Atomic Wings opened up, the mayor of Sioux Falls went there, and Paul Tenhaken tweeted about it and said it was awesome. And I actually challenged him to a wing eating contest. And so I'm hoping his representatives will reach back out to me, but hopefully we can get it lined up where there's a wing eating contest involving me and the mayor at the pregame tailgate of the Augie USF Key to the City game.
Maybe you need to get an Augie representative, Chad. And
I have one.
Really have this like as part of the overall challenge between the two schools here.
Oh yeah, I think we've got something. We just need to finalize the details before I give out anything. But yeah, this is hopefully.
They got a Viking cast guy.
They don't. I don't think they have a coaches show, do they? I don't know.
I don't know. If they did, we get you guys at it,
have a
man.
hockey podcast, but
Yeah. Coach OJ, if you're watching, get ready. No, I'm kidding.
It's gonna be 3 months, so yeah.
We'll get it. We'll get an Augie representative involved, maybe a former player from Augustana to join in on the competition here as well. But yeah, exciting stuff there. Hopefully, we have more details in the Coach Cast next week. If not, just come out to the tailgate and you'll see what happens. But Eric from Atomic Wings is on board. He's ready to do this, so he's going to bring the wings out. We're going to make it happen. So let's talk about our Atomic Wings players of the game for the Wayne State game. Sam?
Yeah, Coach was hinting at him, but it came down to old man Schleichhaus, Carter Schleichhaus, having a heck of a day, making the plays when it counted on offense. And, man, we said his name all day. And defense, Andy Henson. And special shout-out, too, on special teams for Nick Hernandez with that 47 – not 48, I'm sorry, Nick, but 47-yard field goal there, career long. Props to those guys. Go get yourself some Atomic Wings this week during the bye week to celebrate.
And, Coach, I heard on the sideline Andy Henson didn't come out of the game for one play. Is that correct? Was he in the game every single play?
I think so. I got to go back and check. We actually count the amount of reps guys take week in and week out. And it was kind of a weird game because there wasn't a ton of snaps. I think it was in the upper 50s. So that's not a lot. When you start to get to 65, 75, that's when you worry about it. But a lot of 3 and outs. So quite possibly, yeah. I mean, that's an area where it's different up front on the D-line because you're getting so much pounding and all that. You try to rotate those guys. But a lot of times based on the flow of the game and how things are going. But he's a guy and we've got very capable backups, guys that have subbed in for him in the past. So I don't know if it's anything on purpose. It was just the flow of the game.
Yeah. But great job by those 3. Congrats on the Atomic Player of the game. Coach, last week we were kind of teasing you. I actually posted the Oprah gif, where Oprah's saying, you get a thing.
Well, we went straight Oprah. We were going to go straight Oprah on the defensive side of things, but the coaches on staff thought better to not do that. I was just going to say the defense because they all did a great job. And could have been Connor Aldrich, could have been,
right.
Could have been a lot of guys. Isaiah Ward had a great game. I mean, Maximum. So, but yeah, it was a great effort.
Yeah, Tom and Tim always give me the choice of choosing who gets to come up for post-game interviews. And I had I was like, I don't know who to bring up. I brought up 3 defensive guys the other day. I pretty much just about said, hey, if you play defense, just come with me. We're going up for post-game interviews. But,
well, the cool thing is, too, even with this, I mean, if I'm being honest, you'd like to spread it out as much as you can, and all that stuff. And then, of course, there's the NSIC players of the week and all that. But, man, if a guy's playing, he's balling out, right? But ideally, as a coach, it's my job to acknowledge guys that are doing a good job. And we have the AA player of the game, the almost Atomic Wing player of the game. We kind of joke about that. We mentioned those guys in the team meeting. So we had a couple. Jay Koch was the AA Atomic Wing almost player of the game for his special teams effort. And so just like to shout those guys out. And I thought Ben Glogowski had a huge hit on kickoff. He rocked the guy on kickoff. That was exciting to see. And his mom was happy that I played him. So that was good. But so maybe I was the almost Atomic Wing player of the game but no luck there. I got Casey's Pizza last night, so that was good enough.
Coach, I don't know if you ever go back and look at the comments on YouTube, but we did have someone comment a few weeks ago saying that your wife has to be the GM of the squad. We talked about that.
She's the GM of the squad, the emperor of the kingdom. She's the cat's pajamas. I mean, she's awesome. She's my sounding board, even when I don't want to hear it. But yesterday I knew we were getting on a bye week because she asked me if I'd hose off the deck furniture before I went to work. And I was like, yes, honey. Yes. But she knows how to get at me. She gets me to encourage me to get the power washer out. And then I'm like, oh yeah. The next thing I know, I was washing down the front of the house. I was spraying off the cars. I was doing it all.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and take a look after the Cougars' first 9 games here. We've got the NSIC standings. You can see Augustana's in the lead because of their 6-1 conference record, but Sioux Falls is right there behind them with the 6-2 record. But overall, 7-2 is better than 6-2. So we'll see how that plays out here the next couple of weeks. Minnesota State and Wayne State both lost this past weekend, and so they dropped below the Cougars. They're both 5-2 in conference. Northern State, maybe that Northern, we talked about that Northern win earlier in the season. That is turning out to be a better win every single week. Bemidji State 4-3, Moorhead 4-3, Winona State 4-3, and then Duluth 3-4, Minot 3-5, Concordia 2-5, and then Marion Southwest down at 0-7. So that's the conference standings as of right now. I think the regional rankings come out later today, so pay attention for those. We'll see what's happening there. But Coach, you talk to the guys at this point in the season. What do you say about, hey, this is where we are? Those type of things.
Yeah, I think this is the first week that the regional rankings come out. They'll come out in alphabetical order, so there's no true ranking to it. And I can't remember all the ins and outs of it, but I think the top 7 teams eventually make the playoffs and all that stuff. And we'd love to be in the top 7. Obviously, who wouldn't, right? And we're finally at a point right now where it's right in front of us. There's 2 games left. Huge one next week versus Augustana. Another huge one against Southwest. Both teams that beat us by multiple scores last year. So we've got our work cut out for us. By no means are we done. We're not checking out and all that stuff. And we want to win as many games as we can. That's the goal. But I acknowledge it with our players because they're going to hear stuff about it. And I'm trying to be really upfront and honest with these guys. Are we a top 7 team in the region? Maybe. We'll see. If we don't take care of business next Saturday, nothing matters. We're probably out, right? And so we also want to win a conference championship. And right now, we control our destiny. If we're able to be successful in these last 2 weeks, then we've got every right to claim ourselves as an NSIC conference champion. Will we share that with somebody? Yeah, possibly. But at the end of the day, we would be conference champions, and that's a great accomplishment. It's been a great year so far. We've certainly, people say, well, you're 8 points away from being undefeated. Well, yeah, we also, if you don't lose those games early in the year, maybe you don't grow and develop like we have. So, everything is a blessing. Everything happens for a reason. We got our hands full. I know they've got to play Concordia St. Paul, which is a good football team this weekend. We'll watch that film, and then we'll get after them next week and prepare accordingly. But at the end of the day, we are a game out of first with 2 to go. And if you'd have told me this back in August, I would have taken it and ran with it. I wouldn't have asked how, why, or where. I just would have said, okay, awesome, now let's go. And so, we just want to try to spend as much time together. It's been a great group to be around. No matter what happens in a couple of weeks, it'll never be the same team. The locker room will never be the same. And so trying to take that approach, enjoy the process, and build relationships and, lifelong memories. And like I mentioned earlier, you see these former players getting together at the tailgates or going to Alabama games or whatever, going to Washington games when Coach DeBoer was out there. And just you guys in itself, you have a connection because you're former players. And that's what we're trying to build. And the wins and losses will take care of themselves.
Well, Coach, as you mentioned, this coming week, you don't have a game. You're on bye. So what are you planning on doing?
Well, I'm not going to go fishing. I probably not. I do have a plan to drain the water out of our sprinklers because it's wintertime coming. And I got some honeydew list. I got to clean up the garage a little bit and get that ready for winter, get the lawnmower put away and the snow blower out ready to go because I'm sure it'll be snowing here shortly. But I'm looking forward to, just like our players are, a Saturday off to watch college football. I think that's the coolest way to appreciate where we are, to watch other college games. Certainly some big games in our league that I'll look forward to watching. We're going to prepare all week long for Augie and then take a break on Friday, Saturday, then get back at it on Sunday. We've got daylight savings time coming up, fall back this weekend. We've got Mr. Sid Quartermeyer's got his memorial this weekend. We're going to attend on Sunday. And so, there's a lot of things in life going on that we're just going to slow down a little bit and enjoy it. I told our players to be safe, enjoy the time off. We're going to have a little Halloween practice on Thursday where they're going to wear throwback jerseys and all that at practice. So if you want to come out and see that debacle, yeah, you can come out there. They're going to throw on old jerseys. So the rules are any jersey, NBA, NHL, your old high school, college, whatever jersey, throw it on, and we're going to practice. And that's our Halloween practice. Maybe I'll wear my Big Bird costume out there. We'll get the coaches dressed up, get Coach Capitani dressed up like Lord Farquaad from Shrek. That'll be fun. But, it'll be good. And we're just trying to enjoy the process. And it's really good to be into a bye week with the win. And a lot of good things ahead of us. But more importantly, we got to take care of business and have a great lift on Tuesday, have a great lift on Thursday, and do all those things that allow you to win on Saturday 2 weeks from now.
All right, Coach. Well, let's finish up by talking about the Sioux Football Legacy Association. The mission of the CFLA is to bring alumni, family, friends, and supporters together to help equip the USF football program with the resources necessary to continue its winning legacy. For more information, you can go to www.coollegacy.com, or if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, you can click on the QR code with your camera, and it will take you to the Cool Legacy website. You can also check out the tailgate parties for the last couple games here, find out more information, or you can reach out to me as well, and I can send you more information about the CFLA. Finally, Special thanks today to Tom Frederick, Tim Hyatt, Matt Witwicky, the USF Athletic Department for all their support. And so we'll wrap up by saying for Coach Jim Glogowski and Sam Dooyema, I'm Chad Birger. Until next time, go Cougars.